So today, at long last, we're gonna pour some concrete so we can build this garage. We're so very excited. You see this long elephant trunk here? That's not actually from an elephant. That's a concrete pump. So you see where that hopper thing is? They're gonna back a concrete truck into that, and it's gonna go in there and they're gonna pump it out here. That way we don't have to wheelbarrow it, because we're not monsters. So over the years, I've seen a lot of people, and they talk about their spiritual gifts, and they have the spiritual gift of prophecy, and they have the spiritual gift of, I don't know, the healing and all kind of things, right? But here's what I'd really like to see. Jared, do you agree with me on this?
I agree. Yeah, you haven't seen anything yet, but I agree with you.
That's okay. You should definitely agree.
I just agree with you. Just
I want to see the spiritual gift of kindness, and I want to see the spiritual gift of love, and I want to see the spiritual gift of mercy and forgiveness and just people loving each other and getting along. I want to see that spiritual gift because I think that's pretty important.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I agree. Yeah. I think it's supernatural, isn't it? Like,
it really
is. Fruit of the spirit kind of thing to love, gentleness, kindness?
100% it is. In fact, the Bible says, if I can speak in the tongues of men and the tongues of angels, and I understand all mysteries, and everything is revealed to me, and I can heal people, and I can eat all these things, right? But I don't have love, I'm worthless. I'm like a clanging gong or a tinkling cymbal. And so this is what I'd like to see more of. People loving each other, people being kind to each other, people overlooking their differences, and making a good thing out of a hard place, like a beautiful flower in a difficult place. But we're gonna pour some concrete here in a minute because the truck's on the way, hopefully. We're hoping. So here's how it works. Concrete truck. Pour concrete into that thing. Across here. And then this really long anaconda has a tummy ache. And I don't know which end that's coming out of, but that's how it works. I don't know if snakes have really long tails or really long necks, but this one's definitely sick. You can tell. Poor snake. I need to get him some Pepto or something. I feel bad. Look at him. I need some toilet paper. Does anybody have any left over from the pandemic when it first started? Hey, Jared. Yes, sir. Explain what's going on here.
We are striking off the concrete.
You're doing what?
We're striking off the concrete.
Striking
we're
off
making
the
a screed and wet screed, and we're taking a long board, which they call a straight edge, and we're striking it level. Easy. Oh, good. Now concrete gets flat. Whole time you guys are all taking this stuff from them. This is another leveling agent. Don't mess with that.
All right, Jared, what's he doing?
What's who doing who?
Bull flow doing?
That's bull floating. He's like bull floating it, making it smooth.
Smoother.
Than that thing.
So that looks less smooth.
That's not
that looks more smooth.
That's more smooth.
How does that work? Tell me.
So honestly, bull floats are designed to kind of push the rock down and bring the goodie up to the surface. Goodie is a Portland cement and concrete.
Yeah.
So we used to take like things called jitterbugs and beat down the freaking concrete, tap it down. But it's like everybody's changed how they do it now. Everybody just over bull floats it, and it seems to have the same effect.
Well, it looks good.
Without the much sweat.
Yeah.
Dripping down and falling.
I like it.
Yeah.
So then it's done after that?
No, that's just floating. Then you got to trowel it.
And then what happens?
It depends how much you want it troweled. If you want it like ultra smooth, then you have to trowel a lot. That's called hard troweling. So you go from floating to troweling.
Okay. And then what about that whirlybird? How does that work?
That's a troweling machine.
Yeah. That's a troweling. Oh, hey there. So as you can tell, we got the concrete poured, and Jared did a great job, and all the guys. This thing is called a whirlybird, right? And so it's got a bunch of trowels on it that are at an angle, and they spin around and they make it real nice and smooth. So this is the nicest thing you've ever seen. Now, my question to you, Jared, have you ever had in acupuncture?
In acupuncture?
In acupuncture.
No, never had.
Because I'm just wondering if it doesn't work, right? Like if it's inaccurate, I'm just wondering if it doesn't work. Let's come over here with quiet. Okay. Oh, that's way better. So I want to tell you guys a story. And I know I posted it before, but I don't care. Okay, so in Nazi Germany, they would put all these people in, Jews mostly, in train cars and then take them to Auschwitz, right? And because they knew they were going to die, they just didn't care about them. They didn't try to treat them humanely or anything like that. And so they put them all in this train car, and then they were like, you know what, it's quitting time. And they just locked the doors and left them there overnight. And so it got very, very cold that night. And this young boy saw this older man, and he was like, it's gonna be okay. And he came up to the guy, and he rubbed his hands, and he rubbed his arms, and he rubbed his ears, and he rubbed his toes, and all night long, he's like, you're gonna make it, man, you're gonna make it. And he just like rub him all over, and like, we're gonna keep you warm, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. All night long, right? And then there was a fog in the morning, and the sun rose up, and the little boy looked, and he's still trying to keep old man alive, whatever, but he was very cold. And he looked, and everybody in the train car had frozen to death except for him and the old man. And I think the moral of that story is that if you help somebody else, it is impossible to not help yourself. And if we're thinking, I'm just gonna huddle up and be my, I'm gonna take care of myself and me and whatever. And I hear all these people all the time, like, just take care of you and get rid of toxic people and just take care of you and all this. And I'm like, okay, but if you take care of somebody else, whether or not they deserve it, you will end up taking care of yourself too. Like, you will be the survivor. So think about that whenever you're finishing concrete. Oh, hey there. So, as you can tell, it's been about 28 minutes, and we framed everything. And we got OSB on. And you're probably thinking, there's something missing up there. And you're right, the roof trusses, because we're waiting. We've been waiting all day long. So they're on their way. We're gonna put those up tomorrow. It's gonna be amazing. Now, James, you got anything on your heart?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Huh, weird. Well, I do. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. We don't see the world the way that the world is. Did you know that? We see the world the way that we are. So if you look and you're like, man, this world's a horrible place. I hear people all the time, boo-hoo, blah, blah, blah. The world's just a bad, bad place. Bad, 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 bad. That's all they see, bad stuff. I'm like, maybe you're bad. Maybe inside your heart you're bad, or hopeless, or whatever in the world it is that makes you think everything's bad. If you're like, man, the world's full of hope and there's good things happening and God's blessing people all the time, maybe you're a good person. I don't know. I do know this though. Somebody stole all the police, at the police station, they stole all the toilet seats, and the cops had nothing to go on. So that's all I got. Ooh, ice cream. Right. Oh, hey there. So we're putting trusses up this morning. We got a huge crew of one person plus 2 other people for a total of 4 people. All right, so I want to explain how we put trusses up and why we put trusses up. Okay, so you can tell that these trusses are the things that look like a big fat triangle and they got zigzags on them, right? They're amazing, they're engineered. Now, the reason why I started using trusses instead of stick framing is because it's a lot less expensive and it's a lot better. Okay, so if I went this span, which this span is 24 feet, first of all, good luck getting a 24-foot 2x12. A 24-foot 2x12 would cost more than this whole rafter is, but then you'd have to get 2x6s and you'd have to brace and brace and brace all over the place and have a ridge board and all that. Or I can just be like, hey, I need trusses built to these dimensions, and then they make them for me. Problem is it takes 10 weeks to get delivered right now because supply chain shortage or whatever. But they're awkward, right? Because they're big and they're floppy and they're kind of heavy. And so how do we get it? Well, we put these 2x4s up so that we know that this gabled end, which is the heaviest part, is gonna be sitting up straight. So we got those 2x4s on the outside. We put OSB there, so it'd be the same width out. On the inside here, let's go over here. We took these boards and put them across, and we put them an inch and a half. This is an inch and a half wide. We put it an inch and a half away from the edge, and then we nailed that down. And then this thing sat right in place, and it wasn't dangerous at all. And then we just nailed it up and made sure we were all level and everything. Now, after that, come on in. After that, we took these boards, right? We measured off every 2 feet because that's where they need to be. And we put these boards in place all the way down so that when we put a truss in, we don't have to sit there and fight it too much. We just go right up against this, and then we nail it in from the side. We do the same thing on the other side, and then we put these braces right here too. So these hold it in place until the OSB gets on top, which will be soon. At this rate, probably 28 minutes. So that's how and why we do trusses, and I think they're truly amazing, and they're time consuming, or they're time saving as well. So on labor, you save a ton of money because doing all this by hand would be miserable. Now, Drew, what's on your heart?
Sweat.
Sweat is on Drew's heart. Okay, well, first of all, right here, you probably noticed a lot of red flags. Well, not a lot, but just this one red flag right here. And Drew, I think that your heart needs a red flag because you need more love. All right, so I just want to tell you that nobody in this world is going to force you to have an awesome life. That's on you. So if you don't have an awesome life, change it. Oh, hey there. So congratulations to us. It's been 28 minutes and we got all the trusses up, including the gable ends, which is pretty cool. Now let me just show you something. Over here, these tails stick out too far because whenever you order them, you can just leave 2 feet for free. And so I just leave an extra 2 feet there. And then we go ahead and cut and we chalk a line all the way down. So we measured off to where I want it to be. We measured off on the other side and we pulled a line and we chalked that line. Now, I want to demonstrate something to you guys because I feel like not everybody knows this. On your chalk line, you know, it's locked in, right? And if you pull it out, I see a lot of people, they like pull and then this thing spins around, right? And you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you got to sit there and watch it spin. Now, some people do like this and then it spins, but it doesn't really get in your way or whatever. That's great. But check this out. If you bought a chalk line, I don't know, in this century, if you just push down right here, you can pull straight out. Really amazing. And then you can spin it right back up. Now, I need to tell you guys something, and please don't be offended, but I sleep better naked. And I don't know why the flight attendants on my plane did not understand that. Did you know that there are people that believe that fleas should not be on top? These people are called flea bottomists. They draw your blood. All right, so I want to show you guys how eaves work, okay? Because maybe you're thinking, how do eaves work? Or something along those lines. So you see we've got this gable, or sorry, we've got this truss right here. I don't know, can you see that? All right, so we got this truss here, right? And we've got the gable, and the gable sits right on the wall. But then how do you get this out here without just falling off? And the answer is, this gable is 3.5 inches shorter, and so we're able to come from here on this truss on top of that gable and then farther out, and then we attach this board on there and we attach it to the top and bottom as well. And then it's solid. And that's called an eave, in case you didn't know that. So, I hope that you guys learned something. It's been almost 40 years since Twisted Sister came up with that song, We're Not Gonna Take It. And I feel like, in fact, we have taken it. And I'm embarrassed for us, I really am. But I'll tell you what I'm not embarrassed about, and that's this. You see what we did this morning? We put all those trusses up, and then we built our eaves, and we built our gables, and then we decked everything, and then we house wrapped it, and I realized it still needs to be trimmed, but that's okay. And then we filtered everything except for that little bit because we ran out, but we're gonna get that in the morning. Tomorrow we're gonna put a roof on this and soften and fascia. We have to get a stupid inspection. I mean, a wonderful, thank God that somebody's got a clipboard that weighs 500 pounds and is probably a girl is gonna tell me how to do my job. But anyway, that's beside the point. Now, I wanna talk to you guys about the fact that your worldview shapes how you act. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So we all have a different vantage point, right? We all look at the world from a different perspective, and that's, I think, comes from our life experiences and our family and probably some hereditary things or whatever. But we look at the world and we think the world is this way, and this is how things work, and this is how things operate, and this is like the forces that we can't see. It's undeniable that there are forces that we can't see. It's just everybody describes that differently, right? But your worldview shapes how you interact with people. It shapes the measure of hope that you have and the measure of faith that you have. And I think that if you make sure that your worldview is lined up correctly, so it's like this, like imagine that you're trying to get somewhere, right? But your compass isn't pointing north. It's difficult to get anywhere because you look at the map and you go, yeah, north, it's that way. And you're like, matter of fact, north is that way. You're gonna be very mixed up. Your north is gonna be south and your east is gonna be west, and you're gonna be all turned around and very frustrated with life and just wondering like, why am I not going the right direction? But if you align your moral compass towards north, sorry, that's over here, it really is, then you may be like, huh, you know what? Things are lining up now. When I follow the directions, things seem to work. So maybe like take some time, because yeah, I see a lot of people and they frustrate themselves and they're just trying to constantly be in motion or whatever, and they're mad. And I'm like, but take a step back and look at it, and maybe you're not right. Talk to some people, do some research on your own. Don't just take somebody's word for it. And then be like, you know what? With everything within me, I think this is as close as I can get to the truth. And then from there, you adjust, right? But that will make your life easier, better, what have you. Will it be perfect? No. Will it be without pain? No. but it sure is nice to know kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. I think I speak for all women when I say women don't like it when men speak for them. All right, so we got soffit fascia up. If you remember, fascia is the face, the 1x6 right there, and then soffit is this other thing. Now, what I'm perplexed about, how are there human footprints up there? James, do you have any ideas?
Ghost.
Huh?
Ghost.
You think it's ghosts?
Yep.
That's amazing. So, it could be ghosts, yeah. I didn't even consider that.
The boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogeyman, that's definitely a possibility. So we did that. We're gonna go get some shingles and we're gonna get the roof on this thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but it rained yesterday and there's mud everywhere. Our feet are disgusting, our legs, everything. It's just so icky. Icky, I don't like it. All right, so I'm very, very excited. Because why? Because I've been working on my music for a long time and I got an album under the name Angels Unaware and it's called I Heard God Cry and it is available on all platforms, all streams. So iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Whatever you want, however you want to listen to music, it's there. Angels Unaware, I Heard God Cry. Whole album, 11 songs. Love you guys. Oh, hey there. So maybe you're wondering, like, how do I do some roofing and how do I put in a turbine? Well, it's simple. First step, check it out. We're gonna put this on here and mark it and then cut it. I already did that. So now there's a hole. So this is good. Now what a turbine does, I don't know if you guys know this, but heat rises, okay? So you got all this heat in your attic and it's gonna rise and it's gonna come burrowing out, right? Billowing out. But otherwise it'll just be trapped up in there if you don't have some kind of ventilation. So ventilation is important. So we cut the hole, now we're gonna put this thing. So then you get shingles up to this point, we cut out around it. You don't wanna just cover it up because then it's pointless. Then we put this thing on top of it, we cover that hole up, and then this is the hard part. You shoot it, or you can hand nail it if you're gay, which I'm not. My boyfriend, on the other hand, he is. And then, we gotta cut around that thing. But how do you do that? Never fear. I'll show you. Okay, so. This has a hook on it. It's a hook blade. See that? You can see it right there, Drew?
Yep.
So hook blades are great for cutting shingles. Boom. That's that. And it's all about overlapping. So you see this white line right here? You want to line your next one up to that one. And then you shoot four. See there's a double white line? Shoot one on the end, one on that end. And then like that for a total of 4. Okay? Normally, because I've been doing this for a very long time, I shoot them very fast. But I'm going to show you. Get this thing all stitched up too, I'll show you. Drew, while we're doing this, you got anything on your heart?
More sweat.
A bunch of sweat, that is no lie. The fact that this whole winter has been freezing cold and windy as all get out. We finally get to like, oh, it's 100 degrees. No wind. No wind. It's ridiculous. I don't know who's responsible, but I need you to understand that I'm not very happy about this situation. Wait for it. And I think you get the point. Now you probably can't feel this, but I can. There's heat rising up out of this thing because, you know, it's hot in there. So this is ventilating that out.
which is great. So Drew asked me earlier, he's like, man, I don't know how you do this. I was like, do what? And he gestures randomly, like roofing. The answer is, you know how in a race, the final sprint, so you're like, oh, I'm almost at the end. And so you give it your all because you know like it's about to be over. I've been in that final sprint for, I don't know, 30 or 40 years. But the good news is that what I used to think was really difficult, now I'm like, meh, not that big a deal. All right, let's say do roofing. Never before have so many done so little with so much. And yet here we are. Mediocrity. All right, so clearly we have got the roof on. Now we're lacking, I don't know if you guys can zoom in there, but we're lacking about 3 feet of Z-ridge up there, which is my own dumb fault. So we made a mistake and we'll have to get some more. We can do that on Monday because I'm tired and I'm gonna go see Jimmy and Chris play tonight because I love those guys and they're awesome. Anyway, so we got some house wrap done. We built this gable out so we can leave room for brick because we have to do brick on this side. Thanks, City of Arlington. Drew, what you thinking about? Home. Mediocrity. Got it. So somebody I heard was interviewing Billy Joel many years ago, and they're like, man, you've made like $1 billion in your career. And he goes, well, I mean, gross, but that doesn't mean he gets that. Like his name has made $1 billion and he gets, you know, whatever's left after that. Just under $1 billion. It's actually, there's a lot of expenses. And they were like, you're really amazing. And he goes, I'm really not. He goes, I'm very, very average in my opinion. It's just that everybody else is so far below average that it makes me look like I'm pretty impressive, but I'm not that impressive. And I was like, I identify with that. I feel that in my soul. Drew, you feel that?
Sure.
Drew's tired. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye. I will never apologize to you, and for that, I'm sorry. Darn it, I think I just did. Okay, so yesterday we had to deal with some other things out on the Cleburne house we're about to start building. On Friday, we're gonna frame it. Thursday, we're pouring concrete, so that's exciting. Anyway, so we're gonna do hardy siding on this, and so what we do is first we put our house wrap up there, and we put it right side up so that people could read it, mostly because we're getting inspection, otherwise it doesn't matter. Like the wind can't tell if it's upside down or not. Then we put the trim around there first, and then we put our siding on there. And the reason why we put the trim on first is because otherwise this stuff sits like in layers, and so when you put the trim on top of it, then you have to caulk these huge gaps, and that's not fun. We're better than that. So we want to caulk tight gaps. That's how that works. That's smart stuff right there. All right, so James and I were talking, and James was like, hey, there's a bunch of wars and bad things and stuff, but he's like, but what if some stuff, you know, had gone differently? And I'm like, all right, tell me what you're talking about. And so I think the South could have won if we had more submarines. I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense that you would say that. Then also he's like, you know, Hitler's not that bad. I'm like, really? How do you figure? And he goes, well, I mean, say what you want about Hitler, but at least he killed Hitler. All right, so we're gonna get back to work. Oh, hey there. Yeah, we've basically been sitting around doing nothing. I mean, we did do that siding real quick, but we're very quick when it comes to siding. Now, James was talking earlier about the South could have won if they had more submarines, which really makes sense if you don't think about it. But I think what James forgot, and I think what a lot of us forget, is that love is our greatest weapon. And we can destroy people, we can kill them with our kindness and our love. So anyway, what we're about to do is we are going to, we did this side, and now we're gonna do this siding right here. And here in a second, what we're gonna do is, Rob, are you okay? This? Yeah, no, I did that real quick. Are you okay though? You fell down.
I'm good.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, we're fast. It's whatever. So I don't want to brag or anything, but it's pretty amazing. So here's what I want to talk to you guys about. It's time for you to bloom. It's time for you to blossom. It's time for you to be the person that you were meant to be. You've been stalling for a while. You've been making excuses. Maybe you hit some roadblocks. Maybe you hit some bumps in the road. Maybe things didn't go your way. It's time for you to like put that aside, stop making excuses, and do what you're made to do. I give you permission. Do it. You're made for more than this. You're better than that. All right, bye. Oh, hey there. just hanging out. We got this job done, playing around a little bit. So we got everything caulked and painted yesterday, finished off the roof, and got all the siding up. It's truly amazing. Now I want to talk to you guys
a lot of you guys think there ought to be a law against that. The government should protect us from these people and, you know, whatever. So I saw a meme the other day, and it's like this gangbanger dude, tats all over his face, gold teeth, you know, like chains and whatever, wife beater. And one guy looks at the other one and he goes, "You going to the drive-by shooting tonight?" He goes, "Nah, man, I'm still waiting on my gun permit." And I was like, yeah, because people that break the law don't care what the law is. So the only thing you're doing is making it harder on good people. Let me give you, for example, okay? We got this permit. It only took 4.5 months and cost about an extra, I don't know, $3,000, plus the fact that we had to put brick on this, which is absolutely stupid. So let's call it $5,000 is what it cost extra, plus another 4.5 months. It took us 4.5 days to build this thing from scratch. So I know what you're thinking, but you need to be a licensed contractor. Let me tell you what it takes to be a licensed contractor, okay? In any city in the country, if you want to be a licensed contractor, you pay $100 a year, and that's it. There's no test, there's no nothing. Now, if you're an electrician, plumber, heat and air, that's different. But if you want to be a general contractor, $100 a year, that's it. So when people are like, "I need a licensed contractor, man, I want somebody that's licensed," I'm like, so freaking, you could be a licensed contractor in 20 minutes. Just fill out your name and address, your phone number, and then give them $100. That's it. That's all it takes. So imagine if you do this for a living and you have for decades, and every time you want to do something, the city's like, "Well, let's make sure you're doing it right." And I'm like, could you imagine if every time you wanted to drive to the grocery store, or anywhere for that matter, if you're like, "Man, I need some milk." You're gonna need a permit for that. And then, but you're like, "But I know how to drive. Like, I've already proven I know how to drive." And like, you probably ought to allow a couple weeks for us to get a permit for you to drive up to the store and get some milk. And you better do it exactly when you said you were gonna do it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait and get back in line again. You'd be like, "This is ridiculous." Well, that's what my job is like. Literally every day, there's somebody going, "Well, I don't know how to do your job, but my book says you're doing it wrong." It's very frustrating. So what's my suggestion? I don't complain unless there's actually a solution. Here's my solution. Stop government overreach. Stop voting for this stuff. Stop saying there ought to be a law against, there ought to be a law for. Just like minimize the government every chance you get. Nope, 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 nope. The government is not going to get involved because people need to lead themselves. And that's what needs to happen. Nobody wants to take responsibility for their own actions, so they want to put it off on somebody else. The government needs to protect me from these bad people. You need to protect you from these bad people. You need to watch out what you're doing and be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to call some references. I'm going to look at some pictures. I'm going to, I don't know, talk to anybody who's done work for, and then make a decision for myself." That's the smart thing to do. The government should take care of me and there should be a license. The government does everything bad. Anyway, we're pretty much wrapped up with this job. They still got to do brick in a driveway, and what else? A garage door. But that's not me. That's somebody else. So love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.